You know, normal day, doing my thing.
Standing at an apartment complex, you know, inside a cluster box.
It was actually a beautiful day. It was 57 degrees that day. I had my window down. Just sitting in my truck having lunch.
Carriers robbed at gunpoint over and over again, and investigators don't know who's doing it.
And good evening. We are dealing with a frightening pattern. Weekly reports of serious threats against those who deliver our mail.
Paid to deliver the mail, not fight off attackers and robbers. The backbone of the U.S. Postal Service, mail carriers, say they're living and working in fear.
Being a mail carrier in the Bay Area is becoming an increasingly dangerous job. They're becoming targets for people looking to steal their keys and swipe the mail, which can lead to all sorts of financial crimes.
Hey, no. Hey, 911.
Just delivering mail.
As I look up, he comes out with a gun pointed at me.
I saw the gun. I was looking at the gun. I don't know what to do, you know.
The guy ran to me, turned me around, put the gun towards my heart, saying, give me the keys.
My immediate action just put my hands up and he asked me for my arrow key.
Then he pulled up the gun and he told me, like, give me what you have, I'm gonna shoot you. He just popped in and yelled at me, give me your key, and that's all I could do was give him my key.
And all I'm just saying is, please don't hurt me. And it was a few minutes, but it seemed so long.
I can't really tell what gun it was. All I know is it was in the side of my head.
I mean, I really, this probably shocked, you know, paralyzed. It's probably about the best word for it. I never, ever thought, you know, that was going to happen.
The dude could have shot me. He could have did anything, you know. And it's crazy for an arrow key. That's crazy.
Developing tonight, a Chicago mail carrier is just out of surgery after he was shot during an attempted robbery this afternoon.
Thought I heard someone asking me a question. I turn around, and there's a man with a shotgun.
This is really scary because these postal workers were just out there doing their job yesterday, and all of a sudden they're robbed at gunpoint.
Something got to change, because I wouldn't want this to happen to nobody else. This wasn't fun.
Letter carriers, trusted community allies. They can always walk the meanest streets in the country without any problem. But seemingly consistent with the pandemic, life on the street took an ugly turn for America's letter carriers.
It's kind of like a punch in the gut, the pit of your stomach, how close they came from not being able to finish their day's work or not being able to return home in the same condition that they left that morning.
Just a few weeks ago, we had a gunpoint in someone's head, and she thought it was just a customer coming up behind her, and she realized there was a gun in her head.
Yeah, it sent a shockwave, you know, sending out the email to let all the stewards know and all the carriers, you know, to be aware for this.
And it's not a good feeling, it's a scary feeling.
It was hard to sleep, you know, and it wasn't me, you know, it was just talking to them and hearing their story.
They're nervous. They're very nervous.
For years, the carrier has been the eyes and ears of the community. We know who lives there. We know who doesn't belong there. We know when people live alone. We know when people don't get their mail out of a box. We check on them.
We're trying to provide the service that we've done since the days of Ben Franklin, but someone's interrupting that. We've got to be aware. We have to be aware. But it's a hard way to go to work every day, that's for sure.
Since 2019, letter carrier assaults and robberies have risen at an alarming rate, climbing by more than 700%. But letter carriers are fighting back, invoking the mantra, enough is enough.
Enough is enough!
NALC organized rallies throughout the country to raise public awareness and to demand protection and prosecution.
Tonight, mail carriers in Chicago say they are under attack, getting robbed and sometimes even shot on the job. And now they are rallying to get some more protection.
Enough is enough! What do we want? Action! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Letter carriers shouldn't be fearful about delivering mail and parcels.
In 2022, we had our first armed robbery of a letter carrier. And that was kind of, wow, what just happened, right? Wow. And then there was another, and then there was another, and then there was another.
Our members are under attack.
They are under attack by violent criminals who have no regard for their health and safety.
Bay Area, America, we need your help. This is an epidemic of crime.
A heartfelt plea from postal workers in the East Bay.
Enough is enough! Protect our letter carriers!
Targeted armed robberies, assaults, shootings, and yes, even murder has now become part of our job.
These are not just statistics. These are real people. These are families that are dealing with the trauma of these attacks.
During the robbery, I felt an overwhelming fear, unlike anything that I had ever experienced before.
But I want to be very clear, we should not have to be here. Our members that have been victims of these crimes should never have been harmed while simply doing their job.
When they leave their families to go to work, they just want to come back safely at the end of their workday. We are the #1 delivery, period.
We have a demand. We demand protection, and we demand prosecution for these crimes, and we demand it right now.
The National Association of Letter Carriers got together in downtown Detroit to say enough is enough.
The union saying at that rally today that enough is enough.
Enough is enough because of the violence that letter carriers have been experiencing.
Enough is enough. You could see them starting to gather behind me.
This will take all of us, but together we can make a difference. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Violence on one carrier is violence on all of us. Branch 53 wants to say, Chicago, we see you. Cincinnati, we see you. Dallas, we see you. Denver, we see you. Minneapolis, we see you. Oakland, we see you. Oklahoma City, we see you. Phoenix, we see you. San Francisco, we see you. To all the others who've had a plan to rally, we also support you and say enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Every day, mail carriers like myself travel our streets, often encountering uncertain and potentially dangerous situations. But what keeps us going is the belief that our community stands with us, ready to support us, ready to protect us as we carry out our duties.
With prosecution rates for these crimes hovering at only 14%, NALC initiated dialogue with the Department of Justice. U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg of the Middle District of Florida addressed NALC leaders at the Spring Committee of Presidents meeting in Jacksonville.
We have prosecuted a number of these cases, and I think the quote I gave was something like, robbing a postal carrier is not a path to riches, it is a path to federal prison. And I think you will find that I am not alone amongst U.S. attorneys in taking this approach to armed robberies that are occurring of postal carriers across the country. There's a number of things that letter carriers can do to help us. I mean, first of all, I would say just keep doing what they're doing in terms of serving with distinction. But if they are a victim of one of these crimes, we're going to need their help and cooperation. The victims who show up in person really make impactful statements, which really let the judge know just how important of a crime this was and the lasting impacts that it's going to have.
With solid support from both organized labor and congressional leadership, NALC took the fight for letter carrier protection to Capitol Hill. On March 13, 2024, the Protect Our Letter Carriers Act was introduced in the House of Representatives, followed by the Senate, with bipartisan support. It would provide federal funding to replace antiquated collection boxes and the universal arrow key with electronic technology, and would assign U.S. attorneys in each judicial district to investigate and prosecute crimes against postal workers.
The next step is critical, and that next step is federal legislation that will deter these attacks from happening, prosecute every criminal that attacks one of our members, and protect letter carriers while doing their job. We are very grateful for two of our great friends in Congress, Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick and Congressman Greg Landsman, for introducing legislation to Protect Our Letter Carriers Act.
The least we can do is make sure that every single postal worker and letter carrier is safe. And this is what this bill does.
We will find a way, come hell or high water, to get this to the floor and get it passed. And we're not going to stop until we do it.
The level of violence that is directed at letter carriers, more than 2,000 incidents since 2020, happening in communities all across the country, is unacceptable. And it's time for Congress to act and to do something about it.
Contact your member of Congress and let them know how important this piece of legislation is, not just to letter carriers, but to everybody that we serve.
We've had issues, and these are very scary, dangerous situations that our letter carriers have been put in. Shouldn't happen, and this bill will make a few really important changes to make sure that every single letter carrier, postal worker is protected.
Letter carriers are heroes. They impact every single life of every single American in this country, bringing us really important items. And I just think that we need to rally behind these group of amazing men and women. They don't ask for much. They do a really hard job, a very essential job. They don't ask for much. They're asking us to be there for them, and we need to be.
The trauma of violence is real. Each victim handles their experience differently. But unlike many victims of crime, letter carriers can't walk away. Every day they must return to the scene of the crime, pushing on to serve their customers. An injury to one is an injury to all. Their fight is our fight.
When I come around the anniversary of it, there's about a week during that time, maybe two, where I'm just high anxiety, starting to avoid the place that I drove by, but I try to keep everything as normal as possible.
The one that, who robbed me is in the custody right now. So police postal inspector told me that it's 2 count, so he's gonna be in the jail for like long time. 24 years. So
we can't be scared. I can't let these crooks out here stop me from living. I gotta still go on with my daily life, but always be leery and watching your surroundings.
So we like the Postal Service management, everyone the higher ups to really act like you care about the individual. Because the mail's gonna get out regardless, but you still need people.
We need these people to protect us because we serve them.
Keep an eye out for us. I mean, we kind of watch out for our community all the time. We're eyes and ears for the community. We see when things aren't right, and we're not shy about reporting it. And that's kind of what we ask in return.
And let the carriers know you're out there, that somebody cares. That's my main issue right now, that someone has to show the carriers that they care.
I want people to be aware. That's what I hope comes from it all, is that our customers are more aware of what's happening. We need our customers. We are the eyes and ears for them, when they're away, when they're not home, when they're on vacation, so we need them to be the same for us when we're walking through their neighborhoods.